Hey everyone, welcome to Wednesday of week 10. Take a moment, take a couple of good deep breaths with your feet on the floor and ground yourself. Be ready for what's coming today, not just in the next 50 minutes, but it will help you all day. Make sure your notes page is open today. I know there are several times that I'm going to ask you to jot some things down, so please be ready with that for today. Including this very first announcement. I have been able to get the code so that we can have a special viewing of this movie. So take a screenshot of this now. Kiss the Ground is a fantastic movie that ties into a lot of what we're talking about in BiSci. I'll be showing it on my Zoom channel here on Wednesday, April 14th at 7 p.m. And I look forward to seeing lots of you there. In order to get your 5 points of extra credit, you come, you watch the movie, and then you participate in some conversation afterward. We'll be going into some small groups to have some discussion about the movie and what you think about it and how it could be effective or not, what your opinions about it are. So that's coming up. Please make note of that. And also I wanted to show you a resource that I don't actually know if how many of you have found. If you go to our Canvas page, it looks like this, and then you click on Pages. And from there you click on this Resources tab. And when you do that, you will come up with a list. There will be websites there. There are Instagram accounts, podcasts, there's email subscription possibilities, apps, mindful shopping suggestions. And this is an ever evolving document. This is something that I'm constantly working on, and people are often giving me more to add to that. And I am way into whatever you find. If you could, you can keep helping me add to this. So if you look through it, or if you know of something, if you have somebody that you follow on Instagram that's related to this class, the big themes, the big pictures of this class, then please send me a note. You can text me, you can email me, you can message me through Canvas, and I would love for this to be a constantly evolving document. So those are a couple of announcements that to get us started for today. And then since we got cut off last Monday, I apologize for that. We're gonna pick up where we left off, which is kind of an awkward place. I was kind of ramping right up to the main point of class, and then I disappeared. I know that many of you continued the conversation after I disappeared, for which I appreciate, that's great. And so we're picking up in kind of this awkward place where we were talking about this. We were reflecting on the point of whether economism is working. Is this story working for us? And so how much is money costing us? Money often costs us too much. Not just us, but we've noted that it also is costing a lot for the environment. This idea that money is driving the choices that we're making around the planet is really this idea, the separation from self and from each other and from Earth, and how much of that is driven by money. So there are students that have taken this class and have continued to say, this isn't an environmental science class. And yet here it is. It's all spelled out. It's all connected. How we are raised in and by our culture connects directly to how we think and how we feel about the environment. How we see success is directly related to this concept, Earth and nature, and where there is disconnect. I need to say here that the story is changing. I think about the other day when I showed the picture of the woman who was laying on the earth, and some of you mentioned Moana, or some of you mentioned Avatar. Those are movies that that are making these points in a very cultural kind of way. Those movies wouldn't have been made in the 40s or 50s or 60s. It's because there is a shift already happening that we're becoming more aware of this. So it's not just here in Baisai, but there is a shift that's beginning to happen. But that shift is so big. It's so big. And how it's impacting the story of us on Earth, how capitalism is such a big part of this, the exploitation of Earth and other people. We can't continue to grow in the way that we are. We can't continue the exploitation of each other and of Earth if we continue, if we want to stay here. So your TAs may have sent out this slide to you. What I'm saying is the story is already shifting. And I think that coronavirus is a way that's actually helping other people, helping us see that there's a possibility of a shift, how we are feeling disconnected from each other now, and what it means to really be connected. So economism is my belief, my hypothesis is that economism is an old story that's no longer true. Truth can go out of stories, you know. That's what was true becomes meaningless, even a lie, because the truth has gone into another story. And so what is that story for us? What is that story for us? How can you and I use all of our equipment, all of our capacities to become more alive and more connected and shift this story? It is absolutely possible. So the story of economism that we've talked about is that you work hard or you win the lottery, which has such a small likelihood. You get money, you accumulate possessions, and then we're happy. Remember the view from outer space of the extraterrestrials. And I acknowledge that talking about our story, our history, can be really hard. And yet I'm certain that where we are now is directly related to where we've come from. So from some of your responses in the last class, I can see that some of you believe that this isn't your story. And that's great, that's exciting, that's cool. But it is a story for a lot of people. So even if you're thinking, oh, this isn't my story, you're going to be surrounded by people who carry this story. And how is it that you are going to listen, to really deeply listen to them and to understand where they're coming from? How can you understand where they're coming from without judgment? And how can you share what is your story? So consider this, is this the story that you subscribe to? Remembering that it really is just the place where we are right now. No different than other human stories from the past that worked for a time, that gave our ancestors meaning and purpose. But then things had to shift. They were ultimately found wanting for something more. And that's definitely true of our culture right now. There is a sense of wanting. So if this is what we're seeking, if we're seeking happiness, how do we get there? What does happiness really mean? For me, the definition of happiness is being in integrity and in harmony with myself. It's being in integrity and in harmony with other people. It's being in harmony and integrity with the earth, with the world around me. And so it's an evolution, it's an understanding. So from the time I was about 10, I wanted this. I desired a convertible. And yet, interestingly, not long ago, I had carried this story for a long time, obviously, since I was 10. That's quite a long time ago. Um, and yet, I just realized not long ago that I don't even often enjoy driving with my windows all the way down. The wind, it makes me feel crazy. It makes me feel antsy. It makes me feel, oh, not in a good way. The wind actually doesn't make me feel free. It makes me feel trapped in a way that's uncomfortable. The noise bothers me. Um, the craziness of it. There are a few spring days when I'll roll my windows all the way down and take it all the way in, and yet I can't do it for too long. So why did I think that a convertible was the car for me? It turns out that when I use my metacognition, what I actually want is what this represents, right? I want it because it represents to me excitement, it represents freedom and accomplishment. It represents having free time just to drive around and take in the day. Represents sunshine. It's fun. It's relaxation. It's being rich. That's a big part of it. So, how often have I been sucked into this? The in styles, the boots and the shoes and the jeans that are the in style that are totally cool looking and they are totally uncomfortable. That's not what I want. So, how much money have I wasted on things that I thought I wanted or things that I actually wanted for other reasons, to be cool or to be accepted or that represented something else? I have to admit, I have a thing for chairs. Chairs. I've bought so many chairs over the last 15 years. And I believe that a comfy chair is exactly what need. I'm always on the quest for the perfect chair. And yet, something comfortable, something fun. So over the course of these years, I've bought bean bags and rocking chairs and couches with cozy cushions. And yet, upon reflecting, it's not actually about the chair. It's about my underlying desire to relax. I just want to sit down. I want to read, or I want to knit, or I want to take a nap in that chair. And yet, what I've learned from reflecting on my addiction to chairs is that I struggle to relax. I don't make time to relax in my daily life. I have an addiction to busyness. There's always something that needs to be done. And if I'm going to let my guard down and actually sit down, then when I stand back up, I'm going to be behind. In order for me to be successful, I need to keep all the balls in the air. I need to be juggling all the time. I need to be moving. There's no time to sit. And that's my story. That's the story that I carry about stuff. And I'm working to shift my story because of what I've realized. And it's hard. It is a hard shift. So, do you have a thing? A thing that you buy? I know someone that's listening out there has a collection of coffee mugs. That's her thing. It could be anything. Is it that you desire that big house, boats, tropical vacations or adventures, the cool shoe collection, or jewelry, or something totally different? What do you want money for? I'm certainly not judging. It's just a matter of reflecting on your story. It's that idea of metacognition, how to think about your thinking and learn about yourself. What can I learn about myself when I dig into that need for a new chair? Can reveal so much. So there's this graph The amount of happiness is directly related to the amount of money that someone has, but only to a certain extent. So, where this is going up on this graph, this is where basic needs are. Um, Having enough food, having shelter, having transportation if it's needed. This is about safety and security and basic needs. But then happiness levels off. More money doesn't mean more happiness. So, something like this, I can eat one or two Oreos and be quite happy, but eating the whole package does not make me happy. This is what I'm talking about, these basic needs. So, as long as these basic needs are being met down here, these are the things that money relates to: security and safety, food, water, warmth, rest. And then when we get up higher than that, these are things that don't cost anything. Everyone is striving for their hierarchy of needs to be met. The lower ones have highest priority, but at our core, we're seeking to fulfill them all. And so before committing that next dollar that you spend, think about the need that it's fulfilling. Are you looking to actually satisfy these upper tier needs before the ones down here at the bottom? Are there alternatives that might cost less to fulfill that specific need or might even fill it better? Is it even fulfilling the need that you think it is when you purchase something? Trying to be a happy by accumulating possessions is like trying to satisfy hunger by taping sandwiches all over your body. George Carlin, brilliant. So, what is happiness? How do we find it? This is the World Happiness Report. It was just released. The 2021 report was just released on March 20th, so just 4 days ago. And it is put together by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. They are committed to redefining the growth narrative to put people's well-being at the center of government's efforts. This ranks 153 countries by how happy their citizens perceive themselves to be. And so this year, again, it's Finland, Denmark, Switzerland, Norway, Iceland, and the Netherlands that hold the top positions. The United States is ranked at number 18 on this list. So when we dive into how they come to this, what the World Happiness Report actually tells us, this is the things, these are the variables that they are measuring when they do this world report. So the real GDP per capita is the money, having someone to count on, having community, healthy life expectancy, so people that have good health care available to them, the sense of freedom to make life choices, generosity, and trust. Trust, in this case, they are defining the opposite of trust is the perception of corruption, which I think is interesting. So the World Happiness Report first came out in 2012. And they're studying the world happiness, the causes of happiness, and the misery and policy implications that are related to this. So the organization is comprised of people from 35 nations across 6 continents. So it's a really diverse group of people. And they are speaking up for those who are also underrepresented on this group. So what's happening with the United States? Why are we number 18? Why are we not in the top 10 even? Well, the surge of the reason that people are doing this study, the interesting thing about interest in happiness related to public policy, um, because there was a professor that noted 45 years ago that happiness in the United States had remained unchanged from 1946 to 1970, even though people were making more and more money. So this has continued to hold true today. Even though the long-term rise of income per person in the United States is going up, there are also negative trends that are affecting this. So worsening health conditions, worsening environmental conditions, declining social trust, declining confidence in government, all play into this. Whatever benefits we may have accrued by earning more money, we are actually offsetting those because our health and our wellness are decreasing. In addition, the increased use of screens is counted as being a negative. So as you think about this World Happiness Report and the idea that we all have the capacity to bring happiness to our lives, I'm curious about what brings you genuine happiness. I'd like to have you reflect on this for a moment and then share with your Zoom mates. When do you feel real happiness, that real deep down inside kind of happiness? So I have answers coming in from all of you. Um, what brings genuine happiness? Driving with the windows down on a nice warm day, family and friends, helping others, spending time with my friends around a campfire, talking to my grandparents, home cooked meals, doing creative activities like sculpting, music, listening to it and making it, good conversations, making other people feel happy, learning something new, accomplishing something I worked hard for, riding roller coasters, reading a book, backpacking, hiking with my dog, the sun and good weather days, hearing my favorite song on the radio, the feeling after a workout, feeling safe with myself, getting lost in something creative, being surrounded by people you genuinely care about and who push you, singing in the shower, when people that I love succeed or accomplish things that they're shooting for. This is lovely. So these, a lot of these, many of these fall into the categories of connecting with others face to face, connecting with ourselves, connecting with the world, expressing gratitude for each moment of life that we have, making people laugh, trying new foods, video games, laying in bed after a long day. All of these are so delightful. Unlimited nap time for a real rest. A cool thing about most of these that you've brought up is that they don't require money. Most of these things that you've mentioned don't require money. Somebody said, laughing really hard with my friends. So if it's about relationship making me feel alive, what's holding you back? What's holding me back from relationship? I'd like you just to take a moment. If you want to share with your Zoom, that's cool. If you just want to reflect, that's also cool. Take just a moment with this. If it's about relationship making me feel alive, this could be relationship with people, with your pets, could be relationship with yourself and your art, could be relationship with music. What holds me back? Research shows that as children, we laugh on average 400 times per day. 400 times. And as I watch my kids, I believe that that's totally true. As adults, not so much. This report that I read said 15 times a day, but is it really even that many times? This is a tricky one for me too. This is something that I've been working on, finding places and ways to make me laugh. Why is laughing so good? It reduces the stress hormones of cortisol, epinephrine, adrenaline, dopamine. It increases the health enhancing hormones, the endorphins that make us feel so good. It increases antibody producing cells. It's a distraction from anger and guilt and stress. It's the social benefit of connecting with others. All of that comes with reduced pain, increased immunity, and increased happiness. Some people even practice laughter yoga. How cool is that? So, one cool thing about laughing is that even if we're faking it, our bodies don't know that. So, after a rough night of sleep, you walk into the bathroom and you just look at yourself and you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh, this day, this day is already, and you can start laughing at even the simplest things or at nothing. And if you laugh for 30 seconds, you are already triggering all of that goodness that's happening in your body. So easy. Laughing is so good for us. So practice it. You can do it all by yourself, totally out of the blue. Just start laughing. Even if at the beginning it's not that, just kind of like, ha ha, ha ha, ha. And then you can convince yourself that you're being really funny. And it feels so good. So think of somebody that you believe is happy in your answers, talking to my grandparents, spending time with family and friends. Think of somebody that you believe is happy. What makes you believe that? Take a moment and think about it and tell a story in your group of somebody that makes you happy or that you believe is happy. And what leads you to believe to that? What leads you to believe that? So take a moment, talk to each other. So it's interesting what's coming up in the chat is that some there's someone that's thinking that it's hard to think of somebody who's truly happy because maybe somebody is just putting on a brave face, maybe faking it. And so how can you tell or who are those people are that are really happy? And so somebody else said either the people that are young or old. Can you think of people your age that are really happy? Um, it can be challenging. So if you have thought of someone, what is it? Here's a follow-up question. What is beautiful about the happy person? What do you see as being beautiful? So take a moment to follow up with this question. So what you're saying that is beautiful is that those are the people that are willing and ready to live in the moment. People that are forgiving with themselves, people that don't know how to use technology, people that are reminiscing, that are telling stories about the good times in life and being grateful, people that are constantly smiling and seeing the silver lining behind the clouds. Happiness is genuinely shown in a real smile. It's that kind of smile that goes all the way up to someone's eyes. I absolutely love this picture of this woman. I wish I could have a conversation with her every time I look at this picture. These are the people that don't dwell on the negative things in life, and their optimism rubs off on others around them. People that are spreading a positive vibe regardless of hardships. People say their dogs are happy when they eat, meeting those basic needs. So a lot of this, I think, ties back to the idea of gratitude. Oh, here somebody says, Grandma loves giving back to others, and that makes her happy. So a hypothesis today, the happiness paradox. Happiness doesn't come from seeking more, but from being grateful for what we already had. This is I think that one of the things I've noticed in those happy, beautiful people is their sense of gratitude. It's a very healthy quality to have. So, right here in the very moment, in this very moment, you can explore how gratitude can cultivate happiness by simply pausing to look around where you are and appreciate what you have. No matter what that is, you can appreciate what you have right around you right now. You can take a deep breath and take in the view, take in what it means to be in your own body, Be grateful for what you have. First, I was dying to finish high school and start college. And then I was dying to finish college and start working. And then I was dying to marry and have children. And then I was dying for my children to grow old enough for school so I could get back to work. And then I was dying to retire. And now I'm dying. And suddenly I really realize I forgot to live. So, this idea of being grateful for where we are right now in the moment can be huge. So, many of you are probably thinking that I may have forgotten something in this conversation. Yeah, you got to have some money. That back to that idea of basic needs are being met. So, what annual salary do you need to be okay in life? How much money would be enough? Here's a couple of stories. Woody Wilson's answer: he works here in town. He has his own business, Wilson Home Farms. He's doing what he loves. Woody makes about $30,000 a year, and he's outside almost every day doing something that he's really passionate about. He's helping people to grow food in their yards. He's helping to make the world a more beautiful place with plants. And $30,000 a year supports what Woody needs to do, how he needs to be happy. Jenny Yule's answer: $20,000 a year. She's part of the buy-side class of 2002. She lives in the next valley over. She works at Elk Creek. There's a strong barter economy in the town of Millheim where she lives. In 2016, she and her boyfriend hiked across America on the Continental Divide Trail because they don't have to work all year round to have the money that they need to be healthy and happy. So you might reflect on what that number is for you and how this ties back into all of this. I think we'll touch on this guy another time. So there was a researcher, an anthropologist, proposed a game to the kids in an African tribe. He put a basket full of fruits near a tree, and he said to the kids, whoever gets to that basket first gets all that fruit. And he told them to run, hurry up, first one gets there wins. And instead, they all grabbed hold of each other's hands and ran together. And then they all sat there together enjoying the fruit. When he asked them why they had done that, when one of them could have had the whole basket, they said, Ubuntu. I am because we are. How can one of us be happy if all of the others are sad? Ubuntu. Might it be that happiness is not so much about belongings as it is about belonging? The idea that happiness is not a pursuit, it's not out there somewhere, it's all in here. It's all in here and ready to be exposed by you. Exposed by you. It's in there and you have the capacity to do it. One way that I think about this is the story of two dots. So if I figure out that there's something off kilter, that I'm not feeling happy, then I try to look at that and think about, is there a disconnect between what I have and what I want? So think about this as the two dots. One is what I have and one is what I want. So the idea to reach happiness is to align the two dots. Right? So try to get a place where there's no gap between what I have and what I want. And how can I get there? How can I get to this place? And so if I can work toward completely accepting how life presents itself from moment to moment, instead of complaining or judging or blaming or any of those, it's like just meeting the present moment with a big yes, right? So what does this look like in practicality? So I find myself standing on a street corner by the Allen Street Grill, the corner room right there, and I'm waiting for a friend. Okay, and the friend is late, and I keep looking at my watch, and I'm getting really antsy. Like, what the heck? Like, who? Why is this person late? And I feel this disconnect. My two dots. Like, I want my friend to be here on time, and they're not. And so the two dots are disconnected. Why didn't he at least call to tell me that he's going to be late? What the heck? How inconsiderate. My two dots are getting farther and farther apart as I start to insult this other person. So what can I do in that moment to bring the two dots closer together or even in complete alignment? Is that I can shift my story. So here I am on this really cool street corner with all these really interesting people walking by. The trees are gorgeous. I can appreciate and be grateful where I am right now in this moment. Nothing is really wrong. Somebody is late. It happens to all of us. So I can quiet my mind. I can appreciate the stillness. I can take it in. I can notice the faces of the people by walking by. Somebody is asking a question, how do you shift your story without lying? Well, where did the story come from? So yeah, he's late. But the story that I was making up about, oh my gosh, like making this huge big deal in my head. It's not a big deal. Just take it in and be in the moment. I can hear the crows calling far off in the distance. I can be open and accepting and present rather than frustrated and upset. So for me, this comes to a story that I heard in college. This quote is one that you might want to write down. The main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. What is your main thing? Something that, in this case, I mean, it's something that you're never going to bend on, something that you're never going to compromise in your life, something where no one is going to ever sway you, something that's deep down inside of who you are, something that won't be changed by pop culture, something that underlies your happiness. So because you're all at different points in the adventure of this class and the adventure of your lives and the adventure of this semester, I want to give you options for your pack back reflection this week. And so I already gave you two, and I'm going to add this one as well. What is your main thing? How does your main thing shape your everyday life? How does your main thing make you happy? And how does your main thing relate to others and to Earth? And I sincerely hope that you find an opportunity to laugh today and to be happy and to hold on to what's inside. Find your gratitude. Thanks for being with me today, and I look forward to hanging out with you again soon.